First, we have Anna Maria Mandalari. She's an assistant professor in the Information and Communications Engineering Research Group at University College London. Anna also serves as a director of the Internet Engineering and Telecommunications Masters Program and sits on the executive steering board of the IoT Security Foundation. IoT stands for Internet of Things. She's a highly regarded expert in IoT, privacy, security, networking, and internet measurement techniques with research that directly informs policy. I should also add that Anna Maria has organized a doctoral workshop on cyber resilience in March, and the workshop report was published a few weeks ago and is highly relevant and highly recommended, of course, as well for today's discussion. Pleasure to have you here, Anna. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, the forum, to discuss a topic that is becoming increasingly critical, cybersecurity, cyber resilience. Thank you very much, Volker, for the invitation, for organizing this. So over the last few years, we've seen a dramatic rise in cyber attacks targeting businesses, public infrastructure, and as our social and economical activities continue to move online, and as more objects around us are connected to the internet and they are software-driven or even nowadays AI-driven, the digital landscape is evolving really rapidly, and so the attack surface. So I want to talk about some of the issues. I want to describe what we have here at UCL and some of the issues that we saw with these digital products nowadays. So here at UCL, we have one of the most advanced Internet of Things laboratory in the world. So any object nowadays can be connected to the internet, from smart speakers to cameras, and even your fridge can be connected to the internet. And this is what we call Internet of Things devices. It is very different from your laptop or your phones because basically the software is already in the device and there is no way for the user to control it. And there is no way that you can see that the device is under attack, for example. And there are three primary challenges that I want to highlight today. The first one is the growing attack surface. So with more devices and services interconnected, the number of potential entry points for attacks really grow, and traditional security models are not valid anymore. So before these devices come in our life, we thought that the attacker comes externally. So basically that we need to protect, let's say, our infrastructure, our home, our enterprise for external attack. But because these devices are now inside our home, inside our enterprise by default, and they're not secure by default, then the threat model for these devices is changing, meaning that we need to be careful and change threat model in something that is actually a threat is coming internally to our network. The other point so the first point is growing attack surface, and the way we see security nowadays is different from the way we saw security 20 years ago. And the other point I want to highlight today is like the lack of standardization and regulations. I'm not saying that we don't have regulation. Luckily, we live in Europe, and as Volker said, we organized this Oxford seminar, and we discussed extensively about the upcoming regulation of digital products in Europe. This is the Cyber Resilience Act, and many other like the IAX, etc. But there is often a lack of standards, and hopefully this will be discussed today by Anna, by the other Anna, but especially when it comes to Internet of Things devices and software supply chains, what is missing is how we can measure compliance, how we know that one device is actually compliant with the many regulations that are coming nowadays. And most of the time, these regulations, like for example, GDPR, that is about privacy, and Cyber Resilience Act or Cybersecurity Act, that is about security, they overlap. But for enterprises of digital manufacturers, it's very difficult to understand how they can be compliant. So what we are missing is like a unified framework for regulations, particularly for helping digital products manufacturers to be compliant. And the other point, so lack of standardization, I would say. And the other point I want to touch today is the human factor. So most of the time, there is a short of cybersecurity expertise. So many organizations are like unprepared to detect, respond, recover from attacks in a fastest way. So still, we fail to see companies to prioritize security, but also because security comes with a cost. So the economical point of view of security, and we will have in the future, because of these regulations coming up, companies that can afford security and companies that cannot afford security. Now, how we can solve this? So we have these three challenges, right? One of the strategies that we are working here at UCL, mitigation strategies, like providing framework for digital products for measuring compliance. So to combat fragmented approach to cybersecurity, standardization is key. So policy frameworks that help manufacturers to understand if they are compliant. And we're working on a system here at UCL that allows to do real-time verification of compliance at the edge. So when we talk about Internet of Things devices that are connected to an IoT gateway, how we can install this framework, this software, this piece of software for compliance at the edge in the IoT gateway. And of course, in academia, we're also working a lot in education and awareness through also the Information Commission officers, that is the data protection regulator in the UK or the Italian Data Protection Authority in Italy. We're working for making users aware that privacy and security is important when it comes to digital products and devices that they use every day. So educating the public, fostering a culture for security. And unfortunately, we saw in some of our user studies that privacy and security change depending on the culture. But also another important point in Europe is like enhancing collaboration between countries and information sharing. So cyber threats are constantly evolving, and sometimes you have like an attack on a device, on a particular manufacturer in a country that still didn't propagate in another country. How we can allow in Europe to share this information, having like an international database with different vulnerabilities will be mapped to different products. And this collaboration means that we need to focus on sharing threat intelligence in real time, developing guidelines of best practices, promoting joint research and innovation together. So to conclude, our growing reliance on digital technologies is creating a lot of good opportunities, but together with that, also like new risks. So we need to really strengthen the cybersecurity, cyber resilience. And for doing this, from the technological point of view and the policy point of view, we need like technical frameworks, policy frameworks, education, global collaboration. So I look forward to our discussion today, and how we can explore these topics maybe better during questions. Thank you very much.